Azure. If you do not have, or if you do not already know about this, then let me start with this. Have you guys heard of Visual Studio Dev Essentials? This is a program for developers which you can sign up for free with any Microsoft ID, Outlook.com or Live or Hotmail or anything. You can just create a free account also. It gives you access to a lot of things, some free Plural site training for 3 months, and subscription to Microsoft Academy, so there are different sections. You get some free software also. Visual Studio Community Edition is free now, so you can get that. This, what I want to focus on also is cloud. You get $300 of Azure credit per year. So every month you get $25 of credit on Azure that you can use to try things out or host your website on anything. Okay, I'm going to show you some things on Azure, so maybe you can use this to try them out. Alright? Any questions so far? You need a credit card to sign up, but you won't be charged. So by default, all sign-ups will need a credit card, but by default everything is locked. Okay, so you explicitly have to go and unlock your credit card on the billing site. It will show you that you're currently on spending limit. Your limit will be $25 per month. So after that, things will stop working, but you will not be charged. Unless you upgrade and remove the spending limits. Alright, so what I want to show you today quickly is how to add authentication to your websites. Okay, I will not use any Visual Studio. That is my goal today. Let's see how it goes. So what I'm going to do is just quickly I'm going to show you 2 examples. One with Office 365. How many of you use Office 365? Most of the Microsoft organizations are migrating their in-house email to Office 365 because it integrates really nicely with Active Directory. So it's really low cost way to get on cloud and outsource all the email infrastructure, but also Office, Word, Excel, everything online. Okay. So what I'm doing now is just creating a blank website. Okay, so I'm going here. Okay. What should we call this? Something. Always, anytime you are creating a website, always go with new resource group, especially when you are showing demos or tests. It is really easy to delete them later. Okay? A resource group is like a folder. So everything that is needed for this website, I'm putting in that folder. If I create a database, firewall rules, graphic controller, so all Azure resources I can put in a resource group. So it's easy to manage them together. I'm just going with South India. Last year, Microsoft started 3 data centers in India, so yeah, it will be fast. Okay, so let's create this. Alright, it just takes I think 30 seconds or so. So this is just a blank website. I didn't put any code. You are free to deploy on this. I just want to show you the default behavior. Okay. So it's done. I think it took about 15 seconds. Let's just visit the website and see how it looks. So this is just a default welcome page that Microsoft added. We don't like this. Let's go and change this. So under development tools, there is something called as App Service Editor. Let's close this notification. So App Service Editor allows you to edit your website live. That's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, you can see it's going to www.root. If you know IIS, you know that you landed in www.root. This is the hosting start, the default page that you're seeing. Let's add our own default.cs. I can also do just HTML. The reason I'm doing CS, because I just want to put one line of code in there. Okay, so I want to show hello, and I want to show who is logged in. Okay, this is default normal ASP.NET stuff. Who is currently logged in? Okay, so I just pasted it. I don't have to save or anything. I just refresh. Okay, so this is how easy to make websites. Alright, and this is .NET code. Right now it just shows hello. It doesn't show anyone because we didn't log in. Okay, that's the part I want to show you. So here's a simple website we created, and let's see what happens. Okay, so I go back to Azure, just scroll up, under settings there is something called as authentication. Sounds good. Let's switch it on, and you will see now we have options. You can go with Facebook login, Google, Microsoft, Twitter, and Office 365 is of course Active Directory. Right, let's try that. So what I can choose is, let's go with Active Directory and configure it. Okay. I like the Express, it's really fast. It doesn't need much information. I'm already logged in with my ProAwareness username on Azure, so it automatically detects that I am on ProAwareness. What is the name of the app? We will keep it same, My Office Logs. And that's it, nothing else. I just click OK and save it. Again, 15 seconds here, it's done. Let's go back to our website, refresh. You see, it's not showing my website anymore. It redirects me to Office 365 login. This is the first time I'm logging in, so it is asking me, do you want to log in with this app? And you see now it's showing me that yeah, I'm logged in. Yeah, so it's that easy. Now you can of course code. Now you're sure this is the person who is logged in, and within ProAwareness we use this all the time. We have so many internal apps which we want to be accessible from outside, but I want to make sure only people who are supposed to see can see. And this, it just takes me 5 minutes to add this. So we just tell the developers, just make the app, bring it to us, we will host it in 5 minutes, and authentication is taken care. Right? Was this useful?
Yes.
Okay, then clap for Microsoft. Because they made it so easy. Okay?
Can you find out in the Azure account who all are the users who are logged in?
Who all are currently logged in?
Yeah.
No. I think you have to log. So maybe here when I come to my default page, I can write one line of code to put something on a queue or in an array. So this is basically OAuth, or open authentication. So same protocol Office 365 also follows. So it will tell you who it is. After that it is up to you what you want to do with that information.
These apps you recognize as you write. So if there is something on-premises, may do the same thing or take some extra steps.
Yes. The question is, what if it is on-premise and not on Azure? Since this is OAuth, you can do it. Just you have to do OAuth yourself. So here Microsoft is just automatically doing all the plumbing for you, right? It knows the URL of Office 365 Active Directory. It knows your application URL. So all the plumbing is done for you. If you are doing this yourself, maybe it will take you half an hour extra, but you have to do the plumbing yourself. Okay? You have to use an OAuth library in your .NET application. You need to sign up to Office developers website and get a client ID, secret key, and basically the whole. But it is possible. Yes, good question.
Not a question specific to OAuth, but a very general question that when you created this website, how did it by default use the user entity, because we use CSHTML and it did not user entity.
Yeah, just because I named it CSS statement.
Okay, so you will identify that, okay, to pass this I need a
Yep. In fact, I can also just name it .php and PHP will work.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you can name it ASPX also. It's
My first question is regarding validation. Suppose any user want to log in, and all the validation thing where we can do. And second question is like what is like token based? How this token is mapped in the application?
yeah. Okay, so first question is how is user validated?
Yeah.
Right? That is,
Yeah.
So that's the whole point of OAuth, that my application doesn't need to validate a user. Before coming to my application, it will be redirected to Microsoft's website, where you log in with Microsoft's credentials. They will validate your credentials. Then they will redirect it to me with an access key. That's the only thing I have. And that access key expires in 1 hour. But all this Azure does for you in the background. But that is how OAuth works. That you never will know the password of the user. The user will never enter password on your website. It is always going to be on Microsoft, Google, Twitter, Facebook. They will take care of authentication.
But that key need to be matched, right? Suppose Microsoft, whatever the key they will generate, that key need to be checked, it's correct or not.
Yeah. So since I am using ASP.NET, and you can already see the current thread's identity has already been set to that user. So you don't even need to authenticate the key. If you just ask the current thread, who are you running as? So it's already done for you in ASP.NET. But let's say if you're doing PHP or something else, you still have to make an API call to Microsoft with the key, asking, this is the key I got, who is this guy? So that's all OAuth, okay? It's not specifically for virtual, but it's just happening for you in the background. So that's what I wanted to show you. If you have done regular OAuth yourself, probably this will be a revelation for you that, okay, this is so easy to do.
How can we introduce
How
roles?
can I add this wall for existing application? I have one application.
Yeah. I showed already. We created an application which did not have any login or authentication,
So
anonymous. And now we added.
I have already logged in, but I want to introduce like through other social networking logins as well.
I will show you. I have another. I have another example of Google. I will show you. This was the easiest, so I thought we'd start with this. So I will show you Google authentication.
Guys, anyone has a question, just raise your hand. I'll pass the mic because all the audience are interested in questions as well.
How can we introduce roles in this?
Yeah, good question. So again, roles is something your application has to manage. So authentication providers will only tell you who it is. They don't know your business logic. They don't know how you are going to manage roles. So that is something you have to handle on your application side. Okay, so maybe on my own landing page, based on who it is, I can ask what role you would like to play today.
So, is there any framework libraries for role management?
You can still use Active Directory to do that, but
One thing I can say.
here's the mic.
Because you had this web application, you directly redirected the user to the authentication page, right? So what if you had say an ASP.NET or web API? So how would you manage it? So you have the user using it on the phone.
Yep.
So how do you redirect to the
Good question. It works exactly the same for web APIs also. So you can do this for web API projects also. Of course, you wouldn't want people who are hitting your API to first go to Microsoft and log in, right? So you can still enable this exactly like how it is. You just have to make the first call yourself. So whenever an unauthenticated request comes, you will have to make a call to Microsoft to authenticate. And that's a one-time thing. And then the token is active for 1 hour and it refreshes every 1 hour. So there is still additional work to be done. But all the other configuration you can do exactly how I did right now. Okay, let me just quickly show Google also. Maybe some of your questions will also be answered there. Okay, so we did Microsoft just now. Let's create another website. And this time I will go do it like an explorer. If I am doing this for the first time, when you guys go and try how it looks. I don't want to say Google sucks. So Google is okay, not bad. Alright, so let's just create this. Again, 15 seconds it will take. Alright.
Excuse me. So, whatever website we are getting here, the extension is Azure website is coming. So,
Yes.
can we remove that?
Yeah, of course.
We can change that?
Yeah. You can go to any GoDaddy or just buy a URL and from there you redirect it to this one. So, the normal DNS stuff. So it's easy. Don't worry, it's not a big thing. It's really easy thing to do. Okay, so again, default website. Let's go and change this app service editor. Go. Just a side note, have you guys used a tool called as Ditto? D-I-T-T-O. I can show you right now. So I'm adding this, let's name this also default. Ditto is a clipboard manager. It remembers your whatever you have copy pasted recently or forever. So it's really easy for me to just reuse everything that I have copied. So just be careful, do not copy your passwords. Never copy your passwords. But other than that, it's really extremely handy because see, I can, especially while coding, you have so many times you copy paste, and then it really saves time. Okay. Same thing we do here. Let's go to our website again and refresh. Again, same thing, now no one is logged in. So what I want to do now is try to add Google authentication to this. Okay, again under settings, authentication, let's switch it on. This time we'll use Google, we have to configure it. Yeah, now it's not that easy. It needs a client ID and a client secret, which I have to get from my Google developer account. So again, I just do this like you're doing it for the first time. So Google developer. Okay. So I want to show this because it's not very obvious. This is a very land up. There is no easy way to know where to go next for this. So what we are interested in is called identity. So there is this Google identity platform. That's what they're interested in. Again, it's not really easy where to go next. That's why I'm showing you all this. Okay, so again, what do I do next? There is something called as Android, iOS, web. So in this case, we are interested in web, so you click on web. And now we have get started. Okay, so it's a little bit of roundabout way to get there. Still, you are not there. What you really need to go is called Google API Console. So next time, just Google for Google API Console. Alright, but I just wanted to show you, if you are a developer, this will be your journey through Google. Okay, so if you, first time when you come here, it will ask you to sign up. I've already signed up. I do not have any projects. That's what the message says, that you currently do not have any projects. So again, first time when you come, you'll see this. Let's create one. This is a Google project. Okay, different than what we created on Azure. So you can name this anything. My Google one something. That's about it. So you just create a project and now you're authorized to use Google APIs. Okay? We are interested in credentials. Again, first time you're coming, so it will ask you to create your credentials. We are interested in OAuth. ID, right? So not API, OAuth ID. So to answer your previous question, you can use this for API authentication. Let's go with OAuth here. You need to do consent. Again, I'm just doing this so you know that there are some steps. Okay. This is called as consent screen. This is the welcome screen they will see when authentication goes to Google. So I will say, I don't know, hello world or something here. Okay, now you will come back to the screen where we were before. Yes, we are interested in web application. You can name it something. Let's go with default, create. Okay, now we get what we wanted. We wanted a secret key and a access keys, client key and a secret key. Let's copy this, go back to Azure, paste it, copy this also, paste it. There's an extra space, just remove it. Okay. Save. This should also take about 10 seconds. Done? Let's go refresh our page. Okay, I don't see hello anymore. I see something from Google, so I know it is sort of working, but not completely, right? Some error. Again, I'm doing this intentionally so you know what are the steps. So what it's saying is you did not give the redirect URL. Okay, so this is the redirect URL. I can just copy this. Sorry, okay, let's just copy this. And then go back to Google. This was a web client we just now created with the default name. And we did notice these two text boxes. There is a text box here called as redirect URL. Maybe I can just zoom it a bit. Authorize redirect URL. So this is where we are supposed to put. This is for Google. We have to tell Google where to redirect after logging in. Right? So that's all. Just save this. Again, you have to click save twice. That's the UI. Okay, let's go back, try again. What was it called?
Google is okay.
Google is okay, right? Yep, this one. Still, it's complaining? Yes? I expected to complain, by the way, but I'm just trying to show you that it's not the same screen. So let's go in a new window. Try this. Okay, you still get the error, the same error. Okay, and this is when we have to just do Google and find out what mistake we made. But there's an easier way which we overlooked, and that is the whole thing I wanted to show you. So when we went to this authentication and we selected Google and we were asked to enter client ID and secret ID. As developers, we focused on the text box and not on the text above this. We are always just text box, enter, right? There is a link here which tells you exactly how you are supposed to do this. Okay, so that's a learning for today. All the steps are here. I didn't have to struggle so much. Okay, but just to speed things up, this is the step we missed. Authorized JavaScript origin. If you notice, there was another text box here. We did the redirect URL. We did not do the authorized JavaScript origin. Again, this is for additional security. I want to make sure that only the JavaScript from my URL Google should be trusted. Okay, so again, that's the step here. So basically, what it is saying is put the URL of your app in the authorized JavaScript. So what I can do is, let's go back. We have the URL somewhere. This is the one. This is my URL. We'll go back and add to here. Okay, that's just the base URL. Nothing, no callback, nothing. Just the base URL of your website. Okay? Just be careful, if you give a slash here, it completes. So, okay, you can't edit it. So no slash at the end, just the base URL. It has to be HTTPS. Save this. Again, you have to click save twice for some reason. Okay. Done? Let's go back. Hooray, now it is redirecting me to Google. It's asking me to sign in, sorry, maybe I can just try it accordingly. Unfortunately for you guys, I have two-factor authentication. Sorry about this, just take a second. If you haven't enabled two-factor authentication on all of your logins, please do it. We hear about all the hacks. So many hacks happening these days, so make sure you always have two-factor authentication.
So if we use the
Yeah, I just want to show this and then you can applaud that yes, we are now logging as with our Google credential. Your app is now logged in with this credential and now you exactly know this is an authenticated user from with a real Google username. Yes? Yeah. Is it on?
When you started logging in, right, it was asking you web, iOS, Android,
Yes.
right, for that Google Web Console.
Yep.
So you did choose for the web. So does that mean I won't be able to use this on my, to check the same website on my mobile, either like iOS, Android?
Yes.
So what exactly did you do when you said web? Is it
Yeah,
only
yeah,
for
yeah.
the web?
Good question. I can just quickly show you. So when I say web, it simply showed you the code that you can use on your website. This is the code which you see. Okay, I can go back and do Android also. Okay, it will show you the Android code that you can use to add OAuth or Google authentication into your Android application. Okay. The other steps of actually getting started and signing up and creating a project and generating an ID and a secret, it is all the same.
So as a developer, I should be including all this, just like when I create any website, HTML says for I, for Mozilla, whatever it is.
So
when
as a
you-
developer, you need to do this only once. The credentials which I did and whatever I did here, you need to do that once to register yourself to Google so that they know who you are. And then from any of your application, this is what you need to do. So again, they will need a client ID and a client secret. That's all you need to provide. And how you do it is of course going to differ based on if you are writing an Android app. This is Android code. Similarly, you will have iOS code or ASP.NET code or Java. And all that sample code is here. That's what Google is showing here.
I have one question.
I have one question. What things does these third-party authentication providers expose to the app which is using it? For example, let's take an example of a meetup. How do I relate that this person is assigned to this meetup or stuff like that? What kind of things do these third-party authentications expose and what we can use?
Yeah, good question. I will give this another one to you. There are two different things. Meetup.com also supports OAuth. So OAuth is an authentication protocol. Okay, so Google, Microsoft, all the public providers give you authentication protocol. The job of OAuth is only authentication. Okay. However, there is a lot of information on Google that you can use, on Meetup that you can use. So they also give you APIs. Google API or Meetup API or Microsoft API. Now Microsoft API is branded as Graph API, unified Microsoft API which can do everything for you. Okay? So you have to call any of these APIs to get any other information. Suppose you want to use my Gmail credentials and find out who are my contacts. Then you can hit Google's contact API with the same authentication key that you got with my OAuth. So all the APIs will also need authentication, right? Because I need to be sure you are the right person asking this. You can use the exact same authentication key to hit any of the Google APIs, and then you can get the information. There are so many of them. You can get maps, you can get contacts, you can read emails, you can send emails. For any of the sensitive information, of course, Google will show you first time when you're logging in. This app wants to read your email. Do you allow it? Meetup.com also.
So in our application, we store the key with a unique identification from our end itself. For example, in GitHub, I star mark some repositories. So
Yeah, so it is not a unique authentication. It's not a static unique authentication. Now, when this happened, remember we told Google URL to redirect to. Yes, in Google we told, okay, after authentication is done, please redirect it to this URL. Yes. When it is redirecting to this URL, it is sending me an authentication key, which is valid for 1 hour. Okay, so when this redirect happens, you store this authentication key somewhere in your session and use that for subsequent calls.
We saw that we configured the JavaScript origins. This is analogous to the post config that we do in our web app usually.
Yeah, it is similar, but it's something that Google is doing on their own. So when a request comes from your website to Google, they are looking at the HTTP referrer, who is this coming from, and that is why they do this. So it is not similar to CORS, but it's a different implementation because the check is happening on the Google's server.
So one thing I see is that we don't need mandatory HTTPS. Like in our ASP.NET, if I have an API on my end, and if I have a UI that is calling that API, it doesn't necessarily need to be on HTTPS, but here it mandates that.
Yes, for all the OAuth providers, HTTPS is mandatory. You have to, otherwise whatever authentication key Google is sending you in this callback, then it is not secure anymore if it is not HTTPS. Because anybody can use that. So it has to be HTTPS.
And you should not.
So by default, when you create Azure websites, you are under something.azurewebsites.net, and that HTTP certificate is already installed for you when your website is created. So all Azure websites, the default URLs are all already HTTPS. So you don't have to do anything additional for that. So if you see here, we are already in HTTPS. If you register your own URL like anand.com, then I need to buy an HTTPS certificate. These days you don't even need to buy it, you can get it for free. I don't know if you guys know about this. Do you guys know about this? So usually these HTTP certificates were really expensive, and that's why people are not buying it. And some companies, including Google and a lot of big companies, got sick of this. You can see all the companies there. They decided, okay, screw it. Let's just make it free. Then at least people will make their websites more secure. So there is this non-profit organization they created called as Let's Encrypt. That's what it's called. Let's Encrypt, where you can go and buy free SSL certificates. They also have a lot of tools that you can use to keep these certificates updated automatically. So it's a one-time thing you do. Just add this tool to your website, and then after you never have to worry about HTTP certificates anymore. Every year it will automatically get a new certificate, install it for you. Everything is automatic, and everything is free.
It's the same one that is being promoted by EFF.
I don't know. I don't know if EFF is one of the. I don't know. Maybe we can just go with it. Anyway, so that's the story behind it. So basically what I'm saying is there is no reason for us not to do HTTPS.
Can we configure two authentication provider for Azure Web App?
Good question. You can configure two authentication providers, but you need to provide a landing page yourself. Okay, so in your website, is it still going through this? Okay, in your website, you will have a landing page which is anonymous. Anyone who comes to your website will first see a landing page where you will ask Facebook, Google, then you click, then you go to the normal.
That is through Azure portal, we can't set it, right?
You can configure through Azure portal, so I can show you that. Okay. Yeah, good question. Maybe I'll list for you. I'm getting good at drawing things. Okay, so you can see by default, if you want everything to work automatically, you choose among these, right? What I can also do is just say anonymous, that okay, I don't want any of the authentications to work by default. However, I will configure Google, like I have done here. I can also configure Active Directory, Facebook. So I can configure all of them from here, from the same UI. Okay, so you can configure all of this at once. Just enter all the keys and all the URLs and everything for Facebook, Google. So all the configuration is available to your Azure website. But what we selected was, okay, but don't use any of them by default. Just go with anonymous. And then what you have to do, you will show a landing page where people will select. On click of each of them, you have to write one line of code, like just an Azure standard SDK saying azure.facebook.login, azure.google.login, azure.office365.login. So one line of code behind each of those buttons, and then it will redirect and do all the things. Okay? And all the configuration it will use from there. So IDs and keys and everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
Suppose I got the script from the site here, just but I need to upload to the site.
Yeah, so the script is, again, this is something if you're doing this yourself, okay, don't worry about this.
Actually,
If you're writing your own Android app, you don't want to use any SDKs or OAuth libraries, you want to do it yourself, you can do this. You can do this using Google's SDK.
I am seeing about certificate that I need to upload to the site that I can get from the Let's Encrypt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just go to Let's Encrypt, download the certificate, upload it here under SSL certificates on Azure. Just upload your certificate here.
Okay.
Go to GoDaddy, and from GoDaddy just enter your DNS as whatever, my Google is okay.azure websites.net. So whenever someone goes to your website, behind the scenes DNS will redirect to this one, and SSL certificate. You need to have SSL certificate if you are using custom URL. Okay guys, we are out of time. I hope this was useful for you guys, and you go back and try some of this out. If you face any problems, you're free to email me or just post a message on meetup.com. Right now we will break. We will come back in I think 12 minutes. Okay, and next up is Ganesh, who will talk about design patterns with real world examples. Okay, so coffee machine is here and all this stuff is arranged there, but we have two coffee machines. Maybe make two lines, and some people can go to the restroom nearby. Okay, just manage the crowd. Okay, see you here in 12 minutes.